Good evening, everyone. Welcome. It's Monday night. I'm Ryan Hill with you in the booth. This is Sim Race South Africa. We are back with another round of the Renault Clio Cups. It's simClioCup Championship round 4 of 5. And tonight we are in Latvia on a circuit known as the Bikernieki high-speed ring. It's on a circuit sports complex actually that has a number of different layouts. I think there are about 6 in total. The main layout is about 3.6 kilometers, which is the high-speed ring that we're going to be racing on tonight. But they also have rallycross layouts, karting layouts, a small oval, a big circle, and then a forest circuit as well. And yeah, it's a very picturesque circuit, as you can see from the pictures in the background, situated in a bit of a forest in Latvia. It's existed since around 1966, and today in real life it's used for the FIA World Rallycross, the FIA European Rallycross. It also has a BATCC event, which is the Baltic Touring Car Championship. And I also believe, just obviously as a club, they attract a lot of motorsport enthusiasts. I've seen on YouTube a lot of drift events happen around the circuit. It's nice and flat and some long sweeping corners, so it's favoured quite heavily by the drift community. But yeah, we can have a look at the track layout for the high-speed ring, just so you can get an idea of it. There's about 14 corners in total. I'm going to not try and butcher all of the corner names, but you'll see them on track when we're racing. There's a little widget in the one corner that does list the names as they go by. And we also have our very own Nick Hodson, fellow admin and racer here tonight. He's put together a hot lap guide, which will also just give you first-hand impression of what it's like to be on board as a driver around this nice circuit here tonight. The weather forecast. So it's looking a bit middleish. It's light clouds. We've set it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The grip is starting out at 96 out of 100, which is pretty grippy. Transferred grip is 95 between sessions, and it only takes 22 laps of all the drivers combined to improve essentially 1% upper level. And a little degree of randomness in there, very small, so I expect them to be quite similar. Temperatures, we're looking at about 23 degrees ambient temperature, with the road temperature going to be about 10 degrees higher than that. There's a slight bit of variation in there, so we'll have to cross just now to live pictures and see what the weather guards have issued up. Championship standing, so I mentioned it's round 4 out of 5 tonight. There is one drop round as well. Currently leading the table, championship Nick Hodson himself, right at the top. A bit of a domination so far, 136 points. The rest so far. Mikhail Matthews has also come in at P2, tied with Brett Krockamp on 81 points. You'll see the race count there is reflecting as 6. That's because we essentially do a double header every single round, so that we'll end up with 10 rounds in total, and dropping a full round or 2 races, and we'll count the best 8 out of 10 at the end of the season. You'll see a number of drivers have queued up some skips as well. I think we might see 1 or 2 skipping tonight as well. I got word from a couple that just received or arrived late back from work and that kind of thing. Looking at what lap times you can expect. So we had a practice server running over the last week or so, thanks to Brett Krockamp. Here are some of the stored times that were just captured on that server. Mikhail Matthews putting in the fastest lap with a 1:30.737. Thomas Trollope, 1:32s, Francois Julian Bernardi, both of them also in the 1:32s, Brett Krockamp 1:32s, Melvin, I think it's Melvin Kroos, 1:33.78, and Chris Murray 1:34. Obviously that's a small subset of drivers, but it should give you a rough idea of what people can expect around here. And then with that, and without further ado, here is Nick to guide you around how just to go about getting a fast lap around the Bikernieki high-speed circuit. Here we go.
Hello everybody and welcome to round 4 of the SimRace SA Clio Cup for the 2024 0.2a season. We are at Bikernieki, the high-speed ring, and a flying lap. Here we go. Good exit out of the last corner along the straight. Fourth gear, clicking into fifth just before the right-hander for turn one. Turn one extremely tricky. You got to get this absolutely spot on. Just drifting all the way wide, using that curb on the outside, getting the car turned in, maintaining second gear, running the car all over those curbs, and a nice exit. Extremely tricky to do, but if you can, you have set yourself up for a good lap time to start with. Fourth gear, fifth gear, going down what effectively is a long straight, flicking into fourth, trying to hug the inside there, almost hitting the barrier as much as you possibly can, running it out wide. Make sure not to hit the gravel, and then flying along the straight, braking just before the red and white curbing on the outside there, turning the car in. You don't want to brake too much and lock the wheels. Get the car turned in nice and early. You've got a lot of runoff on the outside, and then fly down this little straight. Maintain fourth gear here. Turn in a little bit early. Don't run too far over those curbs, but again, you've got quite a lot of space on the outside, so you can turn in slightly earlier than you would think. Manage the car through this section. Don't be too aggressive. You want to get as best an exit here as you possibly can, because this little section is quite long and you'll gain a lot of time. Keep the car tucked in nice and tight around this last couple of corners, flicking it into third gear. Don't use too many brakes. Just going down to third gear will generally slow the car down enough, and we'll go across the line for a 1:30.072.
All right, thanks, Nick. And that is, a lap of the high-speed circuit. We now cut to live pictures. Just the helicam currently reflecting on Sas van der Vestes, and I can see he's putting in a purple sector 1 here, so it looks like he's off to a great start there for the Black Owl Sim Sports team. Their livery nice and prominent here. You'll see a strong force of Black Owl Sim Sports drivers out there. Oh, very scrappy there, and looked like he had an orange yellow sector and almost lost control coming out of there. So essentially he's duffed that lap. But this is actually just the tail end of pre-practice. We still have 4 minutes to go in it, so he's perhaps just trying to see where he can push the limits, and know the limits of not only his own talent, but the limits of the car and the extent of what he can do. As we go around, we see other Black Owl Sim Sports drivers out there today. So Nick Hodson, currently a favorite, I think, just has been putting on some cracking lap times that we've seen recently. For Black Owl Sim Sports, we also have Ross Bartle out there. One of the challenges to the Black Owl Sim Sports team is we have Mikhail Matthews, sort of the favored rival, so to speak, in this series right now to the Black Owl Sim Sports drivers. Can't quite see who is in the silver car, just following him there for now. We'll get to it. We have Francois Bernardi out on track. The white, black, and red sort of accent. And we have Ryan Ludick out on track. He's in the white and pinkish with the yellow accent. Dennis Gillett is out there in the. It could have been, it is him behind Mikhail Matthews. It's the silverish whitish. I think it's a bit of a metallic white, drifting over that curb. And I see him ricocheting off the barrier in the back end. That is Dennis Gillett for now. Also exploring the what the limits are of the circuit as he drops to pits. We have Thomas Trollope out there, also in a silvery white car with white accents. We have Peter Keldenes in his light blue and white with the orange accents. Byron Thompson also out there in a white car with white accents. Looks like all the drivers are catching them just as they go over that one curb section. It's be a very tricky section of the track. Melvin Trollope out there in the nice, this would be my livery color choice, the nice blue with a little bit of white accents. Daniel Haynes currently in the pit, I think just behind the bars, if I can find them correctly. And last but not least, I have Melvin Goos, also not yet reporting on the grid, but he is in the tower. So hopefully he is able to make it onto track tonight in time for the green flag drops. Right, we are just under 2 minutes left of free practice. I'm going to quickly cut to a little ad break. That's around about that length, and then we'll see you for the start of qualifying. Ciao for now. Right, we are in overtime. Pre-practice clock has come to 0000 at the top of the screen. We're just waiting for a couple of the drivers that are out on track just to cross the line. You see there Byron Thompson, just one of the last ones out on his practice right now. Dennis Gillett also out there doing what he can. As we hop to the dash cam for him, we'll also hop onto Sas van der Westhuizen, who is crossing the line shortly. Across the curb, does a little wiggle and into the wall, and he's going to be going sideways across the line. Looks like just Dennis Gillett as he crosses the line now. Here we go. Alrighty. Short, quick overtime now. So in between sessions, essentially drivers have an opportunity to fiddle with their setups. Pit engineers essentially adjusting kind of suspensions, fuel, tires, whatnot. Just make sure they've got everything set up optimally for qualifying. They might want to run sort of a risky setup for qualifying to try and set as quick a lap as they can. Light fuel load, of course, as well, and then they'll likely load up with fuel for the races. We're doing 2 back-to-back 20-minute sprint races tonight, no pit stop requirements whatsoever. So they'll just fuel for the distance, and off they go. Nice lineup of cars we have tonight. Goes the clock ticks over into quali. We are live, and straight away out of the gate there's the trio of Black House Sports cars. We've got Sas van der Westhuizen, Nick Hodgson, and Brett Crowcamp. We should also see Ross Bartle at some point. I think he's still in the pits, so a little bit of a delayed start from him, but the rest of the Black Hour guys quick out of the gates, eager to set their initial banker laps. About 9.5 minutes of quali to get the job done, and with lap times of 1.5 minutes roughly to get around. It's not too many quick laps. If you're not careful, you don't want to spill them. Normally my personal preference is to get in a nice banker lap, and then perhaps start pushing. So just want to keep an eye on the traffic. You know, guys will have the track map very similar to what I have open in the bottom left hand corner of your screen. something where they can see a bird's eye view of the entire field and make sure that they don't put themselves out in traffic. Looks like Nick enjoying quite a bit of a tow here behind Sass. I wonder if that's going to be a deliberate strategy come across the finish line, start-finish line, to give ultimately Nick, I guess, the best possible tow, but it does actually look like Nick's backed off now, ever so slightly. He's still quite close. That will enable Nick essentially. No, I think he's got enough of a gap to not really be impacted too much by the tow. So turn one here, let's see, it's quite a critical corner, one of the most tricky corners actually on the circuit. A little bit of a hard braking into a right, 90-degree righter, and then there's a bit of a hang on tight to the left. Just having a look, I see Daniel Guzman has also joined us on the grid reporting. It looks like he's just temporarily parked off to the side, perhaps also just, he's exited the pits, I think, so he's just waiting for a gap by the looks of it to put his car out on track. And benchmark times are rolling in, so we see a Nick Hudson with a 135.6 currently in provisional pole, but I expect that to bounce around a little bit. The track grip, as we see lots of tire smoke pouring off, the track grip is already reporting as optimum, 100%. So with a track temp of 34 degrees, ambient 24, I mean, you can't really get better conditions than that. So I do expect these lap times to tumble quite a bit, just based on what I saw in the practice server throughout the week. I think there's still quite a lot of time to be gained here, and there's a bit of an overlap here between Nick and Sass. As there's a drag race down the line, Sass is technically going to have the inside line, unless Nick... Nah, never mind, Nick's going to sweep around the outside. May have been a subtle lift there by Sass to enable that. I'm sure he would agree that Nick is the slightly faster driver at this stage, so it doesn't make sense to hold either of them up at this point. So Nick is released, so to speak. Now Sass is going to enjoy a little bit of a tow around the circuit. Perhaps that is a bit of a deliberate tag team. That's another complex corner that we've just seen them drive past as well. A lot of drivers coming unstuck on that curb and just throwing the car off in the following corner and ricocheting off the barrier is a real risk. I see another problem heading into these drivers as we see a little bit of traffic coming up ahead. I'm hoping that they're able to complete their lap without catching whoever. I think it might be Daniel Guzman on the foreground that we were seeing there. I'm sure it's tricky to read the small little label nameplates, especially on my time level. Stream monitor at this stage with all the other broadcast equipment going on. I run the race feed in a slightly smaller window. And indeed across the line. Let's see if I can click onto Daniel Guzman. He's on the back straights. Oh, and he's just driven off the circuit. So we'll sure what's going on there. That was a loss of hardware control, but he's nicked back to the pits for the virtual tow tractor. Currently on board with Brett, or side-track with Brett Kirkhamp now. Currently in provisional P3 with a 130.641. As I see the lap times have already started tumbling. I see Nick Hodson is the first to get into the 120s, 129.8. Oh, there's some traffic there. Oh, he has to get around. Was that? Surely not. So who was stuck in the middle of the track there? Oh, as we see Dennis Gillett do a little bit of farming on the left-hand side. I think it's Willem Immelman is seemingly stuck. He's now getting going, and thankfully stays off the racing line this time to let the who was all in blue again. Was it it wasn't Melvin. Peter Coloness is in the light blue and white car. I'm trying to find who is in my favorite blue color car. Here we go. Melvin Trollope. Right, just 3.5 minutes left of quali now. Mikhail Matthews in P3, looking to improve. Just a slight, just over a tenth to try and gain another position and do a swap with Brett Crowcombe. That's not a good start though on the lap. That's a difficult T1 corner that he's got wrong, and he just pulls off the track, letting Francois Bernardi get through. I see leaving the pits now another one of the Black Isle Sim Sports drivers. I think it might be Ross Bartle. Yep, it is indeed. Brett Crowcombe is reporting as off track, and he's jumped to pits. Ross Bartle is not improving in this current lap, so he's not going to challenge Nick Hodson this current lap, but he's got enough time in it to do one more. So he'll shoot across the start finish line and start the clock for another lap. We see sliding off there. I'm not quite sure who that was. Nick Hodson, meanwhile, he's gone purple sector 1 already. Sector 2 slightly down. On cameras here with Dennis Killett. He's got a 131.7. He improves to a 131.5. Not enough to bump up any additional positions, but a nice sort of safety buffer there again to Peter Keldernes behind. So we have a quick look back at Ross Bartle now. Is going very quickly. He's got purple sectors in both 1 and 2. So if he manages to... Whoa, that looked aggressive over the curbs. I'm pretty sure that was pretty much 2 wheels. Whether that's cost him time or not, we're going to have to watch and see, as he currently has a 130.096 against his name. He's pulled off already, so I think perhaps there was an out of bounds there. That lap got spilled. Nick Hodson's finding himself behind some traffic now. I think it's Dennis Killett ahead of him. And, yep, white car number 95. Mikhail Matthews sort of looked like a flash of a purple middle sector there. He is rounding T1 now. My only question is, had he passed the start finish line before or after the clock hit 0? So I'm not sure if he's on a flyer here. I'm pretty sure he would have just stopped if he didn't think he was on a flyer. So we'll have to keep an eye on him. His delta's not looking too healthy though in order to challenge anything. In fact, yeah, you can see his orange sectors being laid down now. So I don't think he's going to be seeing any sort of improvement. So for now, I think Nick Hodson and Ross Bartle are going to be rounding out the front row of the grid, followed by Brett Crowcombe, and Mikhail Matthews has just spilled it as we swap away. Sats van der Westhuizen in P5. Ooh, he's doing nicely up on his delta. Yeah. 0.3. in the green. So we can perhaps see where he's going to end up. His best is 130.93. He needs to improve by about 500. So let's see where he comes across the line. 130.93 gets turned into a 130.5. No improvement up the grid, but yeah, solid fifth place qualification there for SAS van der Westhuizen. Alright, we're at the end of quali. We've got a short break and then we'll see you for race 1 out of 2. Be back in about 30 seconds. Back on the grid just in time. Find a camera that's going to play a ball and not be obscured by a pole. About 40 seconds. As we can see, a strong, once again, Black Owl SimSports lockout of the front row of the grid. Flash of the lights there by BrettKrokamp in third. Mikhail Matthews lining up alongside as the first of the challengers to this team. And that's SAS van der Westhuizen in fifth. And then behind in the pink and white is Ryan Luddick. All looking to get good launches off the line. There's no launch control in these cars, so the guys will just need to balance their own clutches and accelerator throttle pedals. As the lights come on, we're going to see 6 reds. As they go off, we'll be racing. 3, 4, 5, 6 red lights. Waiting a random second or 2. Off we go. Nick Hudson and Ross Bartle all look to have gotten a solid start. Nick's going to have the inside line. SAS van der Westhuizen is looking to pull alongside Mikhail Matthews. It does look like BrettKrokamp's also going to be trying to inch his nose, and he's going to have the inside line here on his teammate. And now it looks like they're all slotting around with no incidents. It's a good getaway by the entire field. So they all file into essentially single file. I'm going to have a quick look at on board with Mikhail Matthews here, looking ahead into the top 3. And that's a much better exit there out of that corner. It's placed him immediately under attack, or attacking into BrettKrokamp. I see a couple of swaps down the fields, just here and there. Essentially, cars you can see in the background there are essentially side by side, so the tower will kind of reflect just one position swapsies. As we still see generally the entire field on the same stretch of road at the moment, all pointed in the right direction. Nice to see Thomas Trollope getting past Melvin Trollope, Willem Immelman, apologies. See now Nick Hudson and Ross Bartle still, as they came out of quali, Krokamp in third. Big puff of smoke, but Mikhail Matthews, you can see this top 5. You can see how they've almost broken away from 6. As we see going wide, that's I think Dennis Killitz behind Peter Geldenes. SAS van der Westhuizen is now up into P5, looking to place some pressure onto the back of Mikhail Matthews' deep red black colored car. We'll go on board with SAS to get his perspective of what he's seeing with these battles ahead, as he can close the gap to Mikhail Matthews, who is essentially in a bit of a Black Owl SimSports sandwich now. Big puffs of smoke around this corner. It's actually remarkable just how close this pack is, this top 5 pack. They're almost two abreast there, 2 and 2, and then they've sort of filed back into single file, but then again they're darting around. Looks like there may have even been some minor side contact there with Mikhail Matthews and Sas van der Westhuizen. So they round the final corner again, and it's a little bit of a sprint. Look at the top 3 Black House Simsport drivers as well. Sort of a flying in formation there across the line. They look quite epic. And Mikhail Matthews has managed to hang on to this position, running nice and defensive there into T1 up the inside. But certainly, I'm sure he must be feeling a lot of pressure right now from Sas van der Westhuizen behind him as he's trying to make his own way past some of the cars ahead. Peter Keldenes leading the next set of breakaway cars here, doing really nicely to keep the top 5 in check. See further down, Willem Immelman getting around Thomas Trollope, swapping positions for P10. Dennis Gillett is now under attack, or has slipped past Peter Keldenes, in fact, as we see there in frame. And that's a mistake from Dennis Gillett. Oh, he almost loses it. Peter Keldenes sees it happening though. Very good spatial awareness, and you saw how wide he ran, just in case Dennis did manage to spear off the track, but that has cost Dennis Gillett 2 positions now, and fell back to the position, gave it back to Peter Keldenes, but also just lost out to Ryan Ludwig in the pink and white. And just to go around again, I'm going to hop back to the top 5 pack again here, just see what's potting. Sas van der Westhuizen still on the back of Mikhail Matthews, who's defending brilliantly. And that breakaway pack there just at the top of your screen, Peter Keldenes and Ryan Ludwig now. Ryan Ludwig has got a good run here. Look at that drag race up here. This is going to be a simple pass before T1. So he must have had a great exit on the last corner. Whoa, Peter just locking the brakes there, and now is placed under pressure from Dennis Gillett behind. Did well to avoid contact. Dennis Gillett especially just recognizing that Peter Keldenes had locked up. I'm just seeing some shuffling behind here in the pack as well. Francois Bernardi and Daniel Haynes dropping down a few positions from Melvin and Thomas Trollope. There's been a leadership change here. Brett Koukamp, we've just missed it, has got around Ross Bartle, and look at this train of cars here. There must be inches between them only, and they're still looking like Mikhail is the odd one out there in this pack. It's still hanging on to that P4 position as this train of Black House Simsport cars goes past. And this is on board with your race leader, Brad Kirkhamp, now looking beyond his rear bumper to the rest of the pack. Sort of here, when he gets off the gas, you can also see their pedal inputs in the bottom right hand corner of your section. Look how close Ross Bartle is getting here now with a great final corner exit. He's got the overlap now, but Brett's doing well to defend on the inside. He's going to have the inside line for T1. I don't think there's enough for Brett to swoop around the outside just yet, so he fouls. Oh, there's a bit of a crunch, and I think there's some avoiding action being taken there by Nick Hodson just to avoid running into the back of Ross Bartle. But now all these drivers live to see another lap, and I think showing some great experience just across these 5, just in how close they can run to each other. Oh, as I say that, onto the graph goes Ross Bartle, and he's dropped down a couple of positions now. Nick Hodson's also now in that mix, taken back the lead of this race, but it's by no means done here. Brad Kirkhamp is in with a sniff, and I think in the inside line, Brad Kirkhamp. Oh, there's some contact there, and Nick manages to hold it, but now he's essentially sandwiched in the middle, and that's gifted Mikhail Matthews P2. He was running in P4 for a long time now, but he's managed to capitalize on the mistakes made there. But definitely under a lot of pressure now from Sas van der Westhuizen, who finds himself in the provisional podium position, P3. And they round the final corners and get a good line onto the straight fairly spaced now, so I think they're going to manage to calm down at least for one lap. But it is another order change. So we have Brett Camp, Mikhail Matthews, P2, Seth van der Veses in P3, Nick Hodson and Ross Bartle, P4 and 5. I've just seen another position change down the field. Thomas Trollope, what's rather Immelman. Oh, that rejoin. Oh, and there has to take avoiding action there. It does Daniel Haynes. And unfortunately, does not manage to keep it going in a straight line. And he's oh, that's unfortunate. It's a real rough time of routing that car. I think just caught out there by the happenings. As you see now, the big cloud of dust there as Dennis Killard's pulling up behind. Pierre Geldenes has a little bit of a look up the inside here, and the overlap is enough such that he's going to be able to send it. Sends it, but I think that door slammed very close and shut in his face. So down with him, Immelman. Oh, someone's running very slowly in the background there. It's Melvin Trollope. Oh, look at that. It was it almost looked like a whole wheel on the ground, like severe damage, and it almost looks like we've lost Melvin from the server now. His car is reporting as a DNF as we speak. Yeah, so yeah, that must have been a critical failure of a hardware component. As we see Ross Bartle getting very squiggly now again, and that's Nick Hodson tucked in behind him. He's going to have the inside line there, but definitely looked like the car was very unsettled. You see Ryan Ludwig put in his fastest lap of the race, 1:30 into T1, and there's a little bit of a position swap here, but Ross Bartle, yeah, staying ahead of Nick Hodson for now. So I see another DNF as well. That was Byron Thompson in the pits. He's getting caught in the collision of that race. They will be doing their utmost best. Oh, there's a bit of a sideways action by Ryan Ludwig there in the background. They will, I'm sure, be returning for race 2. Race 2 tonight is a top 10 reverse grid. So right now, Willem Immelman is sitting pretty to take pole position for race 2, but there's still quite a bit of this race to go. Just gone over the halfway point, 9:47, 9:43 remaining. Quick shout out to everyone in chat as well. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Also to Roxanne, Raven, Hardis. Nice to see you guys. And, yeah, just over halfway now. We're seeing the Black House Sport drivers here. It looks like led by Sas van der Vestes in P3. Just in terms of this pack hunting down the back of Mikhail Matthews, that red and black car there that you see in the foreground. Currently a very solid P2 position. And now he's going to be trying to catch up to the back of Brett Camp. He's got some relatively, he's got fresh air, but he's got some cars behind him that just needs to keep an eye on, that they don't get too close, and he needs to start running some defensive lines. But I feel like for now they're far enough away for him to just concentrate on putting some good quality lap times in and catch up to Brett. But Brett is no stranger to hot lapping around the circuit in clean air as well, so he's definitely not going to make it easy. The only thing that I think might happen is if some sort of mistake happens by Brett, which is not impossible. I'm not sure how much practice these guys got in over the past week. Anything can happen. A little bit further down again, let's look at Peter Geldenes. Sorry, I'm going to hop back up to P3 now. I've just seen the tower indicate that there's some shuffling going on here. The battle for P3, I think, is under a little bit of stress here. Sas van der Vestes, and there's some argy-bargy. Is Sas going to be able to hold it? He manages to do really well to keep it pointed in the right direction here, but he's lost out a little bit there to Nick and Ross Bartle ahead. You see the fastest lap being put in there by Mikhail Matthews, 1:30.393. At least fastest to him. That is only slightly bested by Brett Camp with a 1:30.36. So neck and neck in terms of lap times, or best lap times here between these two drivers. Brett's last was a 130.7, whereas Mikhail's was a 130.393. So definitely a bit faster on that last lap here, but he's still got almost 2 seconds to catch up if he wants to start challenging for the lead. Nick, meanwhile, side by side again with Ross Bartle. It might actually be... No, he's backed out of that. Ross slips in head. So there might have been a move on there. Making the most of the track here. You can see Nick's line differing slightly to Ross's. That might just be a little bit of a really defensive driving by Ross. For now, certainly Nick looking nice and controlled there as he maximizes the perimeters of the track. Stay on board with him now just to see what the drivers do in T1. Ross already, you can see, moving to the inside of the track, wanting to make sure that there's no ideas from Nick in terms of a dive into the inside of T1. But he's too far back to do any sort of dive. He's definitely way more experienced to pull off that move and think it has a chance of succeeding. You see how they'll try and straight line this section as much as possible. A little dab of the brakes and a little bit of a lift, feathering the throttle through. This is the tricky curb that can so easily throw your car off into the opposing wall if you're not careful. Hard on the brakes there. Lost out a little bit of time to Ross. Daniel Guzman is reporting us off track. Not sure what happened to him. He affects a safe rejoin. Looks like he manages to let Francois Bernardi out in front of him. Straight back into the attack he is now, onto the back of Francois Bernardi. A little bit of a ping differential there, unfortunately. I think Francois joining from the UK, Daniel Guzman joining from... I need to double check and confirm what European country he is joining us from tonight. List. He's from, his nationality is saying Colombia, but I think he's dialing in essentially from somewhere a little bit closer than that. That was running a little bit wide there, in my opinion, from Ross Bartle, but seems to have managed to avoid any sort of... definitely I wasn't at risk of a track cut penalty, but you certainly don't want to run much wider than that. You know, put some tyres onto the grass, you're going to lose some traction. Rounding the final corner now. Across the line, Mikotsi puts in a 130.168. That is a flyer of a lap. So he burns off fuel and is able to go a little bit more quickly. Kyle Matthews still around that 1.7 marker. That gap has remained absolutely unchanged from the last time I looked a few moments ago. Ross Bartle, meanwhile, is I think going to start feeling some pressure from Nick here, who has caught up in a big hurry. That gap now reported as under half a second. 2 minutes left of this race. There's only about 2 laps left in it. Going to have, oh, off track goes Ross, pushing a little bit hard, bounces sort of aggressively back onto track, manages to keep the momentum going in the same direction. Has that placed him under pressure for T1? Not really. I think he's got it covered for now. Does seem like the both of these cars are slightly catching Michael Matthews. It does, yeah, he's dropped down from Brett Camp. That gap is actually increasing, so Brett managing to extend his lead. There's a big overlap there, and Nick is sailing past Ross Bartle, Nick Hudson. But he's going to run wide on the exit of this turn now, and that'll still put them side by side. Ross has actually, in theory, gained the position back on the tower, but oh, who's that running off track there? I think it's a blue flag, just trying to stay out of the way. I think by running completely off track. It was very generous. I think that was might have been Daniel Guzman. Was indeed just on board here with those two fighting ahead. A bit of a drift around that corner. Alright, so 18 seconds left. Brett is crossing the line now, but there's still time on the clock. So we're going to see another lap. Final lap of the race. Brett Kirkhamp in the lead. Carl Matthews, he's brought down that gap actually. It was 1.8. Just a lap ago. It's now 1.4, 1.3. And there's any sort of last-minute action here. Ross Bartle, meanwhile, in P3, just hanging onto that final podium position ahead of Nick Hudson for now. But this battle is definitely not done until the fat lady sings. That's van der West, isn't it? I think he's led a quiet second half of the race in P5. Just hanging in there as he goes off track as we speak. Sorry, Sass. No commentator's curse there. Ryan Ludwig following Sass off. You can see the lifting of the grass. Dennis Gillett, Peter Geldenes, Thomas Trollop, and then Willem Immelman currently holding onto that coveted P10 spot, which will put him onto pole position for race 2. But let's just stay on board here with Brett Kirkhamp. You see him approaching the final sections of the track. Here it is, final corner. And yeah, he is well clear of Michael Matthews, so he's going to be crossing the line. A little flash of the lights to celebrate there. And that indeed, Brett Kirkhamp, Michael Matthews, and Ross Bartle does manage to stay ahead of Nick Hudson to round out your podium. If you have a look at what's happening further down the track, Peter Colmes drifting around there, almost having a meal. It's quite aggressive over the final corner there, eating some grass up, doing some farming, but crosses in P8. P9, no one else around him, so safe. High smoke there, Thomas Trollope crosses the line, and the final coveted spot P10 coming up here for Willem Immelman, and that will certainly place him on pole position for race 2. And the rest of the field just looking to come home for points now as best they can. Daniel Haynes and Francois Bernardi. See Daniel Guzman's already in the pits. So this is essentially your last race. We're out there on track. That is race 1 of 2, ladies and gents. Thanks for watching. We are going to be back in about 2 minutes for race 2. Don't go anywhere.
Hello everybody and welcome to round 4 of the SimRace SA Clio Cup for the 2024.2A season. We are at Bikernieki, the high-speed ring, and a flying lap. Here we go, good exit out of the last corner along the straight, 4th gear, clicking into 5th just before the right-hander for turn 1. Turn 1 extremely tricky, you got to get this absolutely spot on, just drifting all the way wide, using that curb on the outside, getting the car turned in, maintaining 2nd gear, running the car all over those curbs, and a nice exit. Extremely tricky to do, but if you can, you have set yourself up for a good lap time to start with. 4th gear, 5th gear, going down what effectively is a long straight, flicking into 4th, trying to hug the inside there, almost hitting the barrier as much as you possibly can, running it out wide. Make sure not to hit the gravel, and then flying along the straight, braking just before the red and white curbing on the outside there, turning the car in. You don't want to brake too much and lock the wheels, get the car turned in nice and early. You've got a lot of runoff on the outside, and then fly down this little straight. Maintain 4th gear here, turn in a little bit early, don't run too far over those curbs, but again, you've got quite a lot of space on the outside, so you can turn in slightly earlier than you would.
Right, I'm going to kick Nick short there as we're about to kick off for race 2. Here we go, ladies and gents. 6 lights are red. We're waiting. Willem Immelman is on pole. We are racing, and away he goes, followed by Thomas Trollope. And Peter Kelnes in the blue and white car. Watch him. He's going to have a nice position up to the inside of T1 alongside him. is Ryan Ludick in the mix, is in the pink and white, and we see one of the first Blackout SimSport races out of the gates. There's Sas van der Westhuizen out on the right hand side of your screen. As we speak right now, he's going to be in a great position to come around in P4 currently. And Ross Bartle also already making his way past Peter Geldernes. I think he got a little bit mugged there on Pete, sorry to see. And filing into single line now with the getaway. A very reserved start by Nick Hudson and Brett Kirkhope further down. As you see Peter Geldernes sliding off. Is he going to be able to? Yeah, he does a good job of holding his brakes there. Peter just to avoid sliding back onto track. Unlucky Peter, that is, sorry to see. Sas van der Westhuizen meanwhile is getting a little bit argy-bargy, elbows out with Dennis Gillett here, and just behind him is Ross Bartle. We're seeing already a leadership change in Thomas Trouble. Look at the carnage below. That's Sas van der Westhuizen, who has unfortunately fallen off there. But for the lead change, Thomas Trollope getting past Willem Emel and Nick Hudson meanwhile getting past Brett Kirkham, but they're essentially side by side. You can see the red and black of Mikhail Matthews as well. This is fight for P6. Dennis Gillett is getting around. I say around, there's some heavy contact there. That's Nick Hudson that's busy going farming, and a massive drift that he brings back onto track. That was outstanding car control there from Nick. So just kind of, I'm sure, breathes a sigh of relief now into some free air, but it's not for long because he does have, looking behind him, Brett Kirkham for company, but Nick has placed his car well into the inside of T1 here. There's always so much action in these reverse grids, as we see the faster guys very quickly catching the slightly slow guys up ahead. But that was a good getaway from Thomas Trollope and Willem Immelman, who are all battling it out here for the lead of this race side by side. And it does look like Thomas has the overlap with Willem Immelman slotting in behind, but very closely followed behind is that's actually, as we speak, Ross Bartle tossing in between the two. In fact, he might even gain 2 positions. Is he going to sweep around the outside? There's some contact. There's a purple pink car going off in the background. I think that's Ryan Ludick. Yeah, the pink and white. And oh gosh, don't know where to look. Willem Immelman on trackside now. He's slipped way back down into 4th. Thomas Trollope manages to hang on to the lead of this race. A lot of tire smoke in the background there. I think that was coming off Willem Immelman himself. He finds himself side by side with Nick Hudson. Thomas Trollope is under attack for the lead of this race by Ross Bartle. He's sideways. He slips back in front. That is outstanding car control. Nick Hudson, meanwhile, also P3. Look here, he's almost going 3 wide into this final corner. Thomas Trollope looking to take the inside line here. There's going to be a little bit of rubbing as racing. Hopefully not too much door banging as the guys sort themselves out and point the cars in the right direction. But look at this car position now. Ross Bartle has the inside line into T1, so I think that move is done. And look for Nick Hudson coming up the inside, looking to take up any scraps if there are left hanging on the table. As they round, there's some contact there on Thomas Trollope onto the back of Ross Bartle, but just a little door banging. Everyone manages to keep going in the right direction. Brett Kirkham's also now in this mix, and he's got round Nick Hudson on the inside, who Nick's still trying to hang on to that position, but I think he's managed to slip down now. Francois Bernardi getting past Daniel Haynes. That is for P9 further down the track. But look at this train of cars here, and Brett Kirkham. Ooh, that's Thomas Trollope falling off. Just the white car there, mugged in between some Blackout SimSports. There's some heavy contact there. Willem Immelman, I think one of the Blackout SimSports drivers, I'm not sure. But he gets going as best he can. As we see a gaggle of cars get past him as well. Further up, Thomas Trollope is still under this pressure here by Nick Hudson. He's essentially side by side now with Mikhail Matthews as well, so he's certainly under a lot of pressure here. Oh, sideways we go. Thomas Trollope is in the wall. Let's see, Mikhail Matthews is another. I think that's Dennis Gillett's gone a little bit of farming as well. It's unfortunate. I'm going to have a quick look at what's going on further up. Mikhail Matthews manages to hang on as best he could amongst those Packer drivers. The next pack here we're essentially seeing is Ryan Ludick just tucked in behind Francois Bernardi, and he has Sas van der Westhuizen. Sheesh, that must be a millimetre of space in front of his car. And Ryan Ludick doing very well here to run on the defensive up into P1. That's doing very well not to back right into the back of him. I think it may have been a slight little scrape. It seems to have done no harm, no foul. super tucked in here. Sasman Devese is in behind Ryan Lillick. Look how close that is. And also being followed very watchful eye of Willem Immelman behind them. Quickly hopping up to the battle for the lead of this race, Brett Krokamp, who took race win in race 1, is currently in P2 already, looking to take back-to-back race wins here. Be quite an achievement, especially with the top 10 reverse grid. Is looking to take the fight to Ross Bartle, is 0.1 in between them. And just a couple of car lengths behind Nick Hodson in P3 as it stands. We're going to have a quick look at Mikhail Matthews. I think he's coming up to the back of Daniel Guzman. He's going to need to recognize that there's a little bit of a ping discrepancy on Daniel Guzman, and I'm sure pick his spot to overtake. It's going to be the safest, and not do any sort of crazy risky moves if he wants to live to see another day. But for the time being, Daniel Guzman doing quite well to defend into the corner. You can see a little bit of that lag effect coming into play, where it almost looks like the car crabs across the track, but fortunately the overall car position is sort of being projected ultimately where it is in reality. So yeah, you just got to be a little bit extra, but it is raceable. We've had a lead change here. Brett Krokamp has got past. Ross Bartle's dropped down 2 positions. Nick's also managed to get past him. So it must have been a little bit of an incident, probably, possibly. Seeing these guys riding quite hard. Ryan Ludick, meanwhile, getting past Francois Bernardi. He's slipped a little bit further down. Peter Colness after that big off. Oh, as we say, that Dennis Gillett as well. He manages to get past him safely. Just reclimbs back onto the track. On board now with Ross Bartle. This is P3 looking ahead to the rest of the podium. Quick look at Ryan Ludick, who is tucked in behind Willem Immelman here. We have a better exit on the exit to the final corner. It looks like he's pulled alongside, but he doesn't have the inside line. So Willem Immelman should be able to defend quite simply, unless he shoots around the outside, I say. Ryan Ludick, is he going to have enough of a car overlap to make it stick? I think he has indeed, so great pass there by Ryan Ludick. Well done. I didn't think it was going to happen. Very clean in the end too, so yeah, kudos to both drivers for leaving the space. Van der Westhuizen finds himself in P6. Is that a bit of a lifted bonnet? Possibly nursing some significant damage here. We'll have to see if I can find some... actually, maybe it's not too bad. It could have just been a patch of the light, making the front of his bonnet appear a little bit warped and lifted, but perhaps just the light. Yeah, it looks fine from this angle. Right, we are about halfway into the second race of the evening, and things have somewhat settled. The initial shuffling of positions, inevitable shuffling of positions with the reverse grid race. And right now, still looking to see who's ultimately going to be leading the race towards the end, because nothing has been decided or set in stone yet, with these top 3 especially being fairly close to each other. Brett Krokamp, Nick Hodson around Ross Bartle. Van der Westhuizen has, in fact, it's Daniel Guzman just really dropping off. It looks like he's had a hard time again. just off circuit there, as we see a few others in the foreground also taking to some farming. They do manage to get around them safely. So, back on board here with Nick Hodson. See if he can find a way around Brett Kirkham. It's all about this final corner here onto this main back straight, or start finish straight, should I say. It's not going to be this lap here. You can see the car ahead just pulling away significantly. He needs to hook up that final corner really nicely to get a better exit, or at least close enough to have a nice toe to drag race down to the first corner. That's Van der Westhuizen. I think he finished around about P5 in race 1. I'm looking to be the same in race 2 so far. He's got quite a bit of work to do. 6 seconds to catch up to the back of Mikhail Matthews. You can just see his car in frame there. You might actually see if we go on board here and we manage to find a long enough straight. Ooh, as Sass, you can hear the tyres hitting the side of the grass there, and that's not going to help his cause if he wants to catch up to Mikhail Matthews. We just saw a snippet of his red and black car there. A little scrappy again by Sass, I think a little too much aggressive in that one curve, which is a little bit raised, and somewhat unsettled the car by the looks of it, and was unable to get the power down in time. So yeah, here's Mikhail Matthews that we speak of in P4. He himself has got about 4 seconds to catch up to the back of the leaders. So he's just looking to settle down, concentrate. At least you can see them in frame. See them at the distance. Entering T1 right now as he crosses the line. We'll hug that wall as closely as possible. Try and straight line this up until T1 hard on the braking. It's going to be somewhat music to his ears if he sees this top 3 ahead of them still battling it out, because ultimately they'll be compromised on their lines and doing slightly slower laps, allowing Mikhail Matthews to catch up. There's about 7 minutes left in this race to do so. As off track goes Nick Hodson, and no contact involved there. I think that was just a genuine mistake, and he's fallen right back now. Somewhat equidistant between Ross Bartle ahead and a little bit further gap to Mikhail Matthews behind. He's still got some safe space. Back trackside here with Peter Keldenes through that corner, and he is looking to close this gap to Francois Bernardi ahead of him. It's complete drop of the throttle there, just coasting through that corner. On the brakes, but quick back onto the power. Puff of smoke as the tyres cry out in pain, trying to hold on to some grip. On board here with essentially back of the pack, Daniel Haynes looking to close up on Daniel Guzman, who has had a quite inconsistent race. We saw quite a few mistakes with Daniel Guzman versus Daniel here. Half a second between Ross Bartle and Brett Kirkham here. Brett still managing to hang on to a provisional race leader, race win. Should be a back-to-back victory if he manages to hang on to this. Yet another 4.5-ish minutes to go, though. Feldness is attacking Francois Bernardo now. They are side by side. Backed off a little bit, has Peter Feldness. They're drifting around that corner almost. Corner names here. Apologies for shifting things around. Yep, and allow the track map not to overlay with corner names. Leader change. Ross Bartle has managed to get around Brett Kirkham. Apologies for missing that off-track action. Let's go on board with Brett Kirkham and see what he's able to do. Take the fight back to Ross Bartle. Again, looks like a much better exit out of that corner. Look at the speed differentials. They climb to a little bit of a drag race now up the back corner. That door's going to shut though. But enough good space was left by Ross Bartle. No foul play there. But still, Kirkham not trying to hang it around the outside. I think he needs to back out of that corner as well as they line up for the final corner. Now that that position seems to be safely banked by Ross Bartle. Quickly have a look down at Francois Bernardi is side by side. I think that's with Dennis Killitz. Car number 158, yep. To fight another lap. I'm going to quickly hop back to the leaders here. Oh, Sas van der Westhuizen's reporting is off track. Not sure what happened to him into T1. Stay with the leaders here, as there was a potential, yes, another potential change for the lead on the cards. Francois Bernardi is losing out on a position. Also seemed like an incident. Some cars clambering back onto the track in the foreground. Corner now. I think that's a little bit of a better exit by Brett Kirkham. So it's going to be yet another drag race down to the T1 first corner. But yet again, Ross is going to have the inside line. So unless Brett can make it really count and sweep around the inside. But the trouble is this 90-degree right-hander, which is going to go drifting into the corner. He manages to regain control of the car. In fact, wow, amazing. Regains control and the lead of this race as he slips in front, but the attack is going to be on now by Ross Bartle. I think he's got a little bit of a better speed differential, but he's sandwiched now. Look at how close Nick has also got to the back of these three. Was that contact? But his car certainly seemed to be going for a little bit of a drift as we see Sas van der Westhuizen plow it down to T1 and get past Willem Immelman. We're going to hop back to the top three. So we see Ross Bartle edging his way side by side by Brett, but he needs to slip back down into the middle, and with Nick closely behind. You can see like a little bit of a shark waiting in the background there. Mikhail Matthews is also creeping up to these three ever so slowly, but there's only 36 seconds left in this race, so I don't think he's going to manage to get close enough to impact the Black Hour SimSports trio podium here. But look at these three go on board here with the back of the pack, Nick Hodgson, just to see what's going to happen with Ross Bartle ahead. Brett Kirkham desperately trying to fend off the rest of them so he can take his back-to-back victories. 7 seconds left in the race. Where's the line? 4, 3, 2. He's going to have to do another lap. Final lap of the race, and it is not yet done. This could be anyone's fight here between, especially the top two, Bikernieki and Ross Bartle. But if they happen to come together, which is very likely, and Nick Hodson's also there waiting in the wings, so it's undecided who is going to take victory here in race 2. Placing his car almost in the middle of the track now, Bikernieki, just to sort of fend off an attack from both sides. And Nick Hodson and Nick Hodson and Ross Bartle almost side by side now. They slip ahead, slip back into single file, should I say. A lot of tire smoke coming off there. This is Ross Bartle essentially at the back, trying to make some sort of move happen in the dying stages of this race. There's only a couple of corners left. We're coming up now to the final corner. This left-hander, oh, slippy slidey. Look at them drifting around, and that's going farming. I think it's Nick, and that's going to gift the position to Ross Bartle, and Mikhail Matthews manages to get through at the death. And so I think Bikernieki does manage to take his back-to-back victory. Ross Bartle, I believe, is going to take second position, but I think Mikhail Matthews, in among all of that, with Nick Hudson going farming, is a costly, and it was enough for Mikhail Matthews to clinch that final podium seat position. And yeah, so P4, Nick Hudson comes, P5, looks like Ryan Ludwig, P6, Sas van der Westhuizen, P7, just behind Willem Immelman, Pierre Geldenes surrounding the P8, Dennis Gillett, P9. It looks like Daniel Gusman will round out your top 10. Daniel Haynes coming home, just bringing home P11, and Francois Bernardi at P12. But yeah, that is the races for this evening. Thank you very much to everyone for joining. It was certainly quite exhilarating. We'll be back in a couple of weeks for the finale of the Clio Cup series. We have something very special lined up for the first time on the simracing.gp and first time racing online. For SimRace South Africa, we have SWAT Corps. So I'm very much looking forward to doing that final round. In the local South African series track. But before then, next week, Monday, we will be at Paul Ricard for the Sim GT3 series on Assetto Corsa Competizione. And then also feel free to join us on Wednesdays. We have a fun series running called the Formula Student. That's currently being held on minified versions of the Formula 1 tracks, sort of go-karting tracks in New York. So yeah, lots of action to be had here. We also have some hot lap leaderboard challenges going on Race Room right now. And Sim Rally, we're in the interim stages. We are switching over to EAWRC very soon. So add that to your wish lists if you don't already have it. Just look out for a sale. And we'll be starting a new rally series on EAWRC in a few weeks' time, currently in the planning stages. But yeah, thanks yet again for everyone for joining on YouTube live, as well as those who are going to watch it offline. I appreciate the support. And I will catch you again next week. Pretty much. Ciao for now.